The easy fix for Social Security, right here. All right, my man Andy Biggs has sent me this article that he had written with Alicia Munnell, which I was happy to see had written as well, because I give Alicia a lot of crap on my channel in the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, because if you look at their Squared Away blog, it's like 90% focused on race. And I'm like, oh, it drives me up the wall. We've got to get over this racial infatuation. And I'm not saying Alicia does. I don't know. I've never met her, don't know her, but like, come on, people. And then, and Alicia and the boys up there and the ladies are very adamant that retirement planning is not within our reach. We have a hard time making a successful retirement plan. She does the National Retirement Risk Index, which I have huge issues with. And I just, but anyway, I don't hate her or anything. I find her stuff to be a lot more friendly towards the fear mongers than it needs to be, actually. And I'm not sure why, frankly. I don't understand. But anyway, the fact she's part of Andy Biggs, good on you, Alicia, because Andy crushes at the American Enterprise Institute. I've interviewed him a couple times. We'll interview him again to talk about this paper that he and Alicia wrote. Hi, baby. The case for using subsidies for retirement plans to fix Social Security. Now, everyone's going, oh, my goodness, subsidies. Oh, no, oh, no. All right, so this is the second time doing this video. The first time, I'm not going to go into the details of this so much because there's a lot going on that Andy talks about. And I'm just going to share with you a couple of wonderful, wonderful points, and I can say how much I agree with it. The U.S. Treasury estimates that the tax preference for employer-sponsored retirement plans and IRAs reduced tax revenue by almost $200 billion in 2020, equal to about 1% of total GDP. However, the evidence suggests this federal tax preference did little to increase retirement savings. Revenue saved from repealing the tax savings preference could be reallocated to address the majority of Social Security's long-term funding gap, strengthening a program that is crucial for the retirement security of older Americans while bypassing the decades-old controversy of reducing Social Security or raising taxes. All right. So we're going to scroll down here, and this is a great article. And I'm just going to show you first and foremost who actually gets the benefit of tax preference. Tax preference is you don't pay taxes on the money you contribute to your 401k IRA. Up to 66,000 schmackaroonies, all right? You get a tax deduction, and you'll pay tax later on when you're in a lower tax bracket, but you get a tax deduction. Who gets those benefits? Almost 60% of the benefits go to the top 20% of income. All right, 60 to 20. So if you're in the top 20% of the income, you get 60% of the benefits. That's not skewed where we want. That is subsidizing the wealthier taxpayers. It's just a fact. That's what we're literally doing. No different than charitable contributions, mortgage deductions. We're subsidizing the wealthier. And we can argue that, but your argument can't be we've got to subsidize the wealthier in order to expand retirement savings, because that's not true. That's just a bad argument. You could say we should subsidize the wealthy. Why? Why exactly should we Look, I'm a high tax bracket payer. It's great. I've never been there until I started doing my own business. Well, that's not true. I was, even when I was working at USA, the last couple of years, I make over $200,000 a year. But in 2000, the aughts, I was making crap. You know what I'm saying? So I very much enjoyed making this kind of scratch. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be subsidizing the wealthy. We shouldn't. We should be, and I hate to say subsidizing, but we should be focused on more equitable treatment on the lower earners. Why? Because the lower earners, we have the majority political people here. Who votes? Who has the votes? The lower or the higher? The lower do. So Republicans take a page from the Democrats and Richard Nixon and go to where the votes are. The Southern strategy, Richard Nixon, I'm going to where the votes are. That's what the Republicans should do. And say, we're going to prop up Social Security and give you a raise. Wow, you might actually win an election. It's crazy. I know. We got to get through Fulton County, Georgia first. My vote counted. Apparently, I voted for Biden. Weird. I didn't think I did, but apparently I did. All right. What was interesting, I didn't think about it. It never occurred to me here. Revenue losses from the tax deductions also extended the payroll tax for Social Security and Medicare. In the case of defined contribution plans, employee contributions are taxed. They are subject to FICA. So remember, if I make $100,000, I'm paying 7.65. That's $7,650 on my $100,000. Even if I contribute to my 401k, I'm paying the FICA tax on every gross penny I make as an employee. All right. Now, my income tax my $100,000, I put $10,000 into a 401k. I'm only paying income tax on that $90,000. So you got to keep that in mind. Your FICA tax is subject to your gross earnings, what you made. Now, what's interesting, I never thought about this, crazy. Employer contributions to the 401k are not subject to FICA. In fact, calculating the revenue loss implies only the employer portion of the payroll tax to employer contributions. However, it gets even worse with respect to defined benefit plans. The annual increase in value of the accrued benefits is also excluded from the payroll tax for both the employer and the employee. It applies a 15.3% tax reduction. So I have talked to a guy today, as a matter of fact. He's got a benefit. His pension is growing pretty good. It's going to grow quite significantly between now and when he takes his retirement. None of that is subject to FICA. None of it is. All right? That's a problem, man, because we're saying the only subject to FICA would be the W-2 or 1099, if you would. I'm self-employed, so both. You see what I'm saying? But the employer position is not. And if you have a defined benefit plan, it's not either. And that's a lot of tax revenue that's being lost that could use to prop up Social Security. And it's a permanent loss. We don't collect that back later on down the road when they start pulling money out of it, because no payroll taxes are imposed at a later time. Now, it's subject to income tax, mind you. All right, so we talk about who's getting the tax benefits. Then right here, this is what kind of cracks me up. Who actually gets the benefits here? Well, only 16% of participants in Vanguard's 401k plans actually took advantage of the catch-up. So Congress has made changes that result in the top quintile receiving an even greater tax deduction, tax preference, if you will. But yeah, in 2022, only 16% of participants. This isn't in the society as at large. This is just the people who are actually participating. And only 16% of them are doing the full catch-up. And those people right here are well over $100,000. 76% of those people who did the catch-ups were making over six figures. Again, these are skewed towards the upper elite. That's a fact. Now, you might say, well, the tax expenditures go to increasing retirement savings. There's just no evidence of that. I'm not going to get to here. But the weight of the evidence suggests that they do not. All right. In fact, we got a bunch of different things here, but I'm not going to go into it. In fact, I did find this interesting. Is that if we assume that 65 to 70 cents on each dollar of retirement savings would have otherwise been saved in a taxable account. So basically, if you were going to save $100 because it's pre-tax, you're still probably going to save between $65 and $70 post-tax anyway. So all we're doing is we're pulling out from left, and we're putting in the pocket on the right. That's all we're doing. We're shifting where we're putting our money. We're putting the pre-tax accounts versus a post-tax account. And actually, very interestingly, there was a study in Denmark that right here, actually they have it in here someplace. The study for the DoD, Department of Defense, and they found that while the federal government's employees in the thrift savings plan, they increased their plan balances by automatic enrollment to the 401k or the TSP through the federal government, that did not increase their overall net worth. What does that mean? That they said, I would have saved anyway, but because I get a tax deduction, I'm going to save here. So it's just, again, you're robbing Paul to pay Peter. It's just that simple. And here, I think there's a study in Denmark right here. Yep. The study on Denmark right here. The authors of the study concluded that tax incentives had virtually no impact on retirement savings. You would have saved your money anyway, regardless of the tax savings. All right, so let's keep going. What Andrew is arguing here is that the case for getting rid of all tax expenditures, subsidies, essentially, no tax benefits, is strong. Because employers would want the plans even without the enormous subsidy to retirement savings, because they know it attracts employees, it keeps them for longevity and whatnot. And no theoretical or empirical evidence suggests that the large tax expenditure has significantly increased national savings or expanded coverage, 100%. The most straightforward approach is to simply end the tax subsidy and use the revenues, the tax increases that we'd get, revenue increase, to restore Social Security. 100%. That's simple. Right here, he goes on to say, I'm going to show you. In the absence of eliminating the tax expenditures altogether, because you'd have, the brokerage firms would go crazy. It's almost like if you talked about getting rid of mortgage interest deductions or anything like that, the realtor market, the National Associated Home Builders, all these guys would go scream bloody murder. Try getting rid of some of the tax deductions on retirement plans. The brokerage industry would be freaking a civil war all over. But in the absence of eliminating outright, one option is to limit the employer contributions to, say, $10,000 or $20,000 a year. Say, look, we'll give you a deduction on your first $10,000 you put in your 401k, but we're not giving you more than that. 100%. That's the way to go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep going here. And then what we do is we apply the tax savings to Social Security. In 2023, the trustees report reports that over the next 75 years, Social Security faces an actuarial deficit of 1.3% of GDP. If you want to know what I'm looking at, I got a dog running around over there. I'm trying to make sure I have a sneaky dog doesn't get out because he's like on a jailbreak. This other sneaky dog named Pablo Scanlon. All right, so we're going to have an actuarial deficit of 1.3% of GDP. Over the same period, the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, estimates a larger shortfall of 1.7. Both groups project that the Social Security's trust funds will be exhausted in the early to mid-30s. But as discussed before, the effect of foregone payroll tax revenues would bring the total up to 1.3% of GDP. Thus, rollbacks of the ineffective retirement savings tax preference could fill a substantial portion of Social Security's long-term funding gap. If we got a 1.7% gap or 1.3% of GDP for Social Security actuarial deficits, and guess what? We have about 1% is the revenue that we're foregoing from having tax preferences to the wealthy on your ability to take pre-tax, contribute pre-tax into your 401k and whatnot. That almost put us even Steven right there. Does that make sense? We're losing 1% to GDP because of tax preferences, if you will, to pre-tax to put money into your 401k. And our Social Security trust fund is being exhausted by, it's going to be a deficit about 1.3%. Not quite even Steven, but pretty close. 2020, Social Security faced a cash flow deficit of about $65 billion, which is made up by redemption of bonds that they had in the program. But by 2035, those bonds will be exhausted, and annual deficits will reach $379 billion by 2023, with increasing shortfalls the following years. Reallocating the proceeds from eliminating or reducing retirement tax expenditure to Social Security could help Democrats and Republicans bridge the decades-long divide. 100%. Yep. The tax expenditures for employer-sponsored retirement plans are expensive, and strikingly, they appear to be a bad deal for taxpayers. The current tax preferences benefit high earners, and the tax expenditure has failed the broader policy goals of national savings increases or expanding plan coverage. Therefore, the case is strong for curtailing these tax breaks. Could not agree more. I'll do another video. I'm going to show you this article right here. These guys, Veronique de Rougy, and these two guys from George Mason, the Mercatus Institute, when they argue against Andy and Alicia. And I literally, as a George Mason econ graduate, who was the economic student of the year, by the way, in 1997 or 96. I also won the Wall Street Journal Award for Academic Excellence at George Mason. So I know a thing or two about George Mason, okay? And the George Mason Economics program as well. I don't understand their argument. Their reasoning is weird to me. I'll do another video on that. Because like, what? And I emailed Andy. I said, I don't understand. I'll share with you his rebuttal to their rebuttal of Andy in a different video. But I 100%. I said, get rid of all. First $10,000, you want to put $10,000 in pre-tax, that's fine. Your employer can contribute $10,000 pre-tax, that's fine. Anything above that, you just got to pay tax on it. Tax and FICA tax. I got no qualm with that at all, man. None whatsoever. We got to get rid of charitable deductions because, again, only the wealthy. Warren Buffett, again, donate how much they donate to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. What's up, baby? What's up, baby? He donated hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, all tax deductible, because he gave it to the Bill and Melinda Gates. He didn't give it to freaking Joe Snuffy in the street who's freaking pining for something to eat. He gave it to freaking the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation because there's no gift tax. No income tax on that. And Bill and Melinda Gates can give it to whoever they want to do their shenanigans, if you know what I'm saying. All right. I'm going to go chase my dog. I think he did get out. Did Pablo escape, big boy? Yeah, Pablo get out? Not good. All right. Love to your thoughts. God bless. See you.